Welcome happy friends to another video. I had a few short sentences prepared, but it's impossible to read out of those notes, let alone memorize them. So I'm gonna be very quick, and I'm gonna give you a few bullet points of what's gonna happen. So the painting basics videos are more or less done. If there will be any more techniques that I would like to present for the future videos, then I will do them. But this topic of painting is more or less covered, so I'm not gonna get back to those things, but I'm gonna reference them in the future. So I would also like to thank all of you that have been watching my videos, subscribing, commenting. Thanks a lot. That's very nice of you. And it would be very cool if you could subscribe. The link should be somewhere here right in the moment. So the next thing is also I'm gonna have a Patreon, so you can also have a look. Let's give a few seconds for the subscribe link and Patreon now, somewhere here. So if you also could have a look, there's gonna be a few prizes. I'm gonna paint some memes on the channel. I'm gonna give them away to my subscribers, to my Patreons. But the thing that I want to show you today are those two minis. Those are Gotrek and Felix. So I'm gonna paint them for the video. It's gonna be a two-parter. I'm gonna start with Felix, and so let's go.
And now this is how those guys look like. Front and back, of course. Both are metal because I have a real liking to metal models. They bring me back to the times when the hobby was just a thing that I could look upon and never considered enjoying it in my spare time. How wrong was I then? If you wonder what is the background for them that makes it seem so pitch black, it is a product from Green Stuff World called Max Dart Backdrop. It should absorb up to 99.9% of visible light. I will test it while taking pictures of those models. What's far so good. A small disclaimer, Green Stuff World is not sponsoring this video, or they haven't sent this product to me. I bought it myself, but why not show it for you to judge if I can. Let's move to the plan of the painting. The model I will paint for this video is Felix. I will show the whole process as always. Every hour I'll make a pause and take pictures for you to see the work progress. The working plan is cleaning the bases, priming it black, taking highlight pictures, a white zenithal, airbrushing the sword and cape, basing colors, then details, and finishing with a snowy base. The second part of the plan is focusing on those 3 points, putting attention on the front of the mini. Highlighting will be zenithal, more or less 4 to 5 hours of working. Last half hour will be put on a base, and I will take pictures after every hour. Very often I look for inspiration on the internet, so let's do the same thing right now. Just type in, for example, Gotrek and Felix, and let's Google the images that are being shown. Yeah, a few mistakes were made, by the way. Lights graphics, and we get some pictures. We can see a lot of books, for example this one, The First Omnibus, Gotrek and Felix by William King. Is it a good reference for painting? Yeah. This one is also nice, so this is another cover from The First Omnibus. This is from Warhammer Total War 2. I wouldn't go with that one. So we have Slayer, another book. Let's try something else. Gotrek and Felix art. Oh yeah, and now we have more cool pictures. Yeah, so this is like a graphic design picture, so I wouldn't go with that one. Let's look for something that's painted. Okay, yeah, here we have a nice picture. Another good one. And we have once again the picture from the omnibus. It looks pretty nice. I think that this can be one of the ones that I will choose. This one is also cool, but the lighting is very dark, and we want a zenithal lighting on the miniatures. This one isn't very focused, so I'll skip that one. What do we have here? Another Gotrek and Felix. Yeah, some red background, so that wouldn't be very nice. This one isn't focused enough. Let's look for another one. Also dark in the background. No light. What do we have here? Yeah, so we have just Felix in this picture. As you can see, more or less, he is shown the same way in every picture. And by the same way, I mean the cape and the pants. The sword is different. Okay, so this is the model. A very nice interpretation of the model, I would say. We can also put it as a reference point. What else do we have? We have also other models of Gotrek and Felix. We've seen this one previously also. So the white and blue striped pants, the armor, the sword and a dagger, a cape. Okay, yeah, and this is the same model that I will paint. This is a bit better than the previous one. We have the armor, the cape, everything is done very nicely. Yep, and let's scroll a bit down. Let's see what we have else. Yeah. Okay. Not many pictures of Felix, to be honest. Just the miniature going back and forth. So maybe let's get back to browsing both of them. Okay, one click, two clicks, yeah. Okay, yeah, we have some Pinterest pictures, but I think that this is the best one so far, so because we can see all of the models. So this is from the first omnibus. We have both of them. We can see most of the details on Felix. And I'm focusing here on the sword and his face as the reference points and the pants. We also have Gotrek here, but we will not talk about him today. So this is another thing that you can use and it's very handy. Go to the page Color Adobe Com and it's a free page that you can use. What you have there is the color wheel and you have monochromatic triads, supplementing colors, analog. You can test different variations of colors if you want to paint something, but the thing that we're gonna do here right now is we're gonna go to the select a motive and drag and drop the picture that I have downloaded. Sorry, the picture is very small, but then if you move those points to the position that you are looking for example, to the sword, if you want to copy paste the colors that were used in it, you will get under the picture the specific colors used in this sword. So have a quick look. I can just have all of those colors used there, and it doesn't have to be the sword. You can put the points on different places in the picture. And now, for example, let's move it right here and we have the colors. So we have different types of black, different types of gray. We even have a red and a beige color here. That's really useful. You can also save the colors that you have and different types of colors used in the picture.
Alright, so basically the model has been primed black, and what we want to do now is put him directly under a source of light, so that we're gonna do a virtual zenithal sunlight that will go from above, and when he's under this light we're gonna take some pictures. We have to think of a golden angle, so the angle that would be best for the miniature to look upon it. I'm gonna take it from the front and from the back. And after the photos will be done, I will show them to you, and then I'm gonna continue with Zenithal priming the model and putting the basic layers on him.
As you can see, I have put the model on a small wooden plinth and set up a direct Zenithal light. Afterwards, before making a Zenithal with a white ink, I take as many pictures from as many positions as possible without moving the model. This gives excellent highlight indicators. The first thing that I'm gonna do right now here is give a Zenithal with a white ink. It's not gonna be very precise, I'm just gonna spray over it like you can see now I'm doing. It will give us a basis for spraying afterwards with some very diluted paint, and the shadows will be there, and I'm gonna save some time. Alright, so right now we're moving into contrast paints, and those are very good for airbrush spraying. So just dilute them a little bit, and I'm gonna use Blood Angel's Red for the cape. As you can see, it's covering very nicely, leaving the shadows almost purely black, and the highlights will be red. Very good paint for this sort of job that if you want to do it this way. Yeah, so the first hour of painting the model will be mostly painting the base layers. As you can see, I will be doing it right now, starting from the pants with Cantor Blue. For most of the videos I prepare a script and then I just read it out, but it's just painstakingly long. It takes more or less a few hours just to prepare the script for one video, and then reading it out and just copying it, deleting and adjusting, setting up new versions, then just working on them. It's too long. This video is more or less 40 minutes at the moment without even starting to cut it, so I'm just gonna skip on doing the script and just babble on. Perhaps you will be patient enough to listen to me. I have also listened to the previous recordings, and normally I don't sound like that. It's something strange is happening with my microphone as I record those audio files, but yeah, you can probably hear the difference with the live videos that I've been putting on where I'm in the video. But as you can see, I'm putting on just the basic few base layers. You can see some Bagman's Glow, Incubi Darkness, some gray also, and a dark brown from Citadel. I try to stay as neat as I can. This will shorten the work altogether. I'm putting the brown, the dark brown, under all of the parts that are supposed to be gold. So this includes the sword, and the cape stays red. I'm not doing any highlights at the moment. The hair also will be brown. Bagman's Glow will go for all the skin parts. Cantor Blue goes for the pants, for the darkest part of the pants. The dark gray, it doesn't matter what type of dark gray do you put in, will be for all the parts that are supposed to be the darkest parts of the armor. And more or less that's it, and those are the colors that I have used. As you can see, I'm just painting for the first hour, nothing special here to do. I will show after 1 hour, directly after, or maybe more or less 1 hour, how the model looked like. And it doesn't matter if I'll finish all of the base layers or not, the whole process will be shown. It's speeded up to 1000%, so if you want to go in a normal pace, just put it into 1/10 of the normal speed that you can see here. Alright, so this is the model after more or less 1 hour of painting. As you can see, the cape is starting to look very nice, even only with one layer of base paint, and it's a contrast paint. We have the shadows, we have some highlights. The rest of the model has just pure base paint put on it, and not even the whole model. So I'm gonna move forward to the second hour of the model. Alright, so we're gonna get back to the model, and I'm still putting on some base layers. Something that I forgot to talk about in the previous segment was that the whole process of putting base layers previously and priming and airbrushing the red color on the cape took an hour. So right now I'm starting to put as good as I can the base layers on the sword. It's Incubi Darkness. It's a very good base color if you want to go for a an NMM sword. I'm not gonna put any specific layers on it, and by specific layers I mean that I'm not gonna glaze a lot. Definitely I'm not gonna glaze the NMM, so I'm just gonna layer it with just a few layers of highlights, and yeah, still doing the base colors at the moment. Yeah, the brown is a very good color when it comes to darkest shadow for gold NMM. For the sake of speed, I'm using some washes. It's a Null Oil and Reikland Flesh Shade. Reikland Flesh Shade for the face and Null Oil for the metallics, the ones that he has on his armor. I really like having some things done really quickly. This gives me like the sense of completion, and that's why I've started with a very simple thing that most people don't even focus on, and those are the boots. Just take any two colors that you have, lighter browns, and just put them on. I used the pictures that I have taken previously to more or less paint where the highlights on the boots will be. Sorry for not having the model in the camera, but it's very hard to keep it under the camera and to have it like directly in front of me, so I can paint the model really nicely. And I've also had some spots that I had to put on the model that weren't previously made red. And now I'm moving into the pants, and I'm just sketching some white on the pants using an off-white. It's a Vallejo Color Ivory. And as you can see, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it's really starting to look nice. I'm gonna then get some counter blue and make the stripes really better. But for now it's just putting in more or less where they should be. Don't really focus on being super precise. This is just a rough sketch, and as you can see, it's becoming really nice. So now the counter blue, and just putting the blue layers, just repairing them, making them more visible. Yeah, so now I don't like using a lot of different colors. Sometimes it's needed, but very often I just take the base colors that I have, use some yellow, or like in this case some white to make a highlight, and them, then just take a little bit of more of white and make a highlight from the previous one that I've done. I'm just trying to wet blend this a little bit. Right, so now the gray, and I'm putting the gray as a shadow on the pants, a very light gray, just at the bottom part of the pants where normally the light wouldn't hit. And I'm just trying to blend all of those colors together and just to make the pants coherent all together. Yes, do some blending. It's a very on and off process, you have to repeat it very often. So now I have some red colors and I'll start doing the cape. So it's also getting back to the pictures that I've taken previously and just putting in more and more highlights on it. So I've tried with Vallejo Red, the new one, the new recipe that they have, but it turned out more or less the same as the base paint that I had, so I had to move to Wild Rider Red, and this turned out to be a much better result. As you can see, the red is more vibrant, it's more vivid, but it looks more or less the same as Blood Angel's Red, and this wasn't the outcome that I was looking for. Alright, so this is the model after 2 hours of painting. You can get back to the previous pictures that I have taken, and you can see that adding just a few details makes a big difference in the model. It still doesn't look perfect, but we're getting there. We're slowly building all of the details, and he's starting to be more or less what we wanted to be. Halftime is over. So now we're gonna move into the 3rd hour of painting, and he's gonna start becoming a really good model for the short time of painting that I'm gonna have on him. So in the 3rd hour of painting, I'm still gonna do the cape. I'm still painting the Vallejo Red, but as you will see in a few moments, it just didn't work out, so I moved to Wild Rider Red. Yeah, it's right now. It's a much better color to do highlights. I'm not blending any highlights on the cape, I'm just putting in very rough layers, and there they are very thick. Try to highlight especially all of the raised points that you see, and if you want to look for highlights and if you haven't taken any pictures, a very good indicator would be just taking the miniature and looking at it from above. Everything facing up should have a highlight. I'm just adding a little bit of ivory to Wild Rider Red and giving him more and more highlights in fewer and fewer spots. Once again, a little bit of white into the highlights, and I'm gonna finish it with just putting the ivory in at the highest raised points, just a few of them. You can also put, right now you can also put some edge highlights on the cape as on everything, and this will make it stand out a bit more. That also helps with reading the model. So at the moment I'm gonna put some gray paint and then just start highlighting his breast armor. It's like a chainmail, so you have to, and it's very badly done, so you just have to take the best brush that you have and with the sharpest tip that you have, and then just very delicately use it in the highest points that you have, when finishing also with an off-white or a white for just a few spots, and it will look very good, don't worry about that. Okay, he also has some leather things on his hands, so I'm just using 2 browns and a white to highlight them. And now we're moving into the non-metallic gold, so I had a very dark brown on it. I think it was Morfang brown, and then I'm just using lighter browns, 2 of them, to make the highlights, covering less and less of the previously painted spots. And if you use 2 or 3 of the browns, then you can switch to a yellow color, and this will be the biggest highlight point, and then just add a few white points using an off-white or like a very white from Vallejo. I think it's ice white or something like that, and you're ready to go. You don't have to blend NMM. I mean, it will look very nice if you will blend it, do a wet blend or some glazing, but in such a small model you just don't need to do that. Yeah, so right now I'm putting the white on, and it's gonna look very fine. Okay, sorry the camera was very often out of focus, but like I mentioned previously, it was very hard to keep the model in the camera and then just to see what I was doing. For the face, it's just Bagman's glow and some Cadian flesh tone, and just giving it highlights in the points where they should be. As you're gonna see a bit later, it didn't go out really well, so I had to redo the face, but I still had some time. That's Flayed One Flesh, the paint that I'm using right now. I could have left the face as it was, but it really wasn't looking very good, so I had some time left, so I could also use it to make some adjustments. I tried to give him rosy cheeks with a little bit of red like it was in the picture that I was focusing on, but then it didn't turn out very good. For his hair, it was supposed to be blonde, so I'm also going from brown into a little bit lighter brown like with the NMM, and then just focusing with a really good yellow. It's Flash Kids yellow in this case, and as you can see on his hair, he's becoming more and more blonde. And for the highest highlights, just using a little bit of white with Flash Kids yellow and then pure white. Yeah, so I moved into the sword, so I took Ink by Darkness, put in a little bit of the off-white that I had on my wet palette, and started sketching in the points where the sword will have highlights. So you can see where I'm putting them in. I'm trying to be as precise as possible because I don't have a lot of time to redo it, but then the sword is the focal point, so you can focus on it a little bit more. So this is the model after 3 hours of painting. As you can see, there's a big jump between the second and third hour. This is because we're starting to put in more and more details, and he's starting to look more or less precise and more or less as we intended him to look. The hair is done, the cape is done, the shoes are done, all of the metallic details are done. the base still has to be done. The face, yeah, it's done, but it's not perfect. But you can leave it as it is. So just a few things and 3 hours. Yeah, you can paint a model in 3 hours if you just focus on the job and do it really, really quick. Okay, so sorry for the unfocused camera. It looks really, really bad, but I'll try to talk all of the things that I was doing here right now, and you'll see the final result at the end of the video. So basically I'm just focusing more and more on the sword, adding more and more edge highlights and more highlight points on the blade itself. I'm adding more and more white to the color and just putting it on a fewer smaller area of the sword. I had a little bit of time so I could blend it. What I've been doing here is a little bit of wet blending. You cannot see it because the footage is very blurry and out of focus, but I'm taking the previous colors and just blending them with the new ones that I've put in. Normally I wouldn't do it on a model like this. It's not gonna be a showcase model, it's just gonna be a model that I'm gonna have somewhere on my shelf, and it's supposed to look like a quickly painted but very nice model. And I'm just still focusing on the sword because this is one of the 3 points, main focal points of the model. As I established previously, it was the head, the hair, the head with the hair, and the sword and the pants. Those 3 points, you should see them instantly when you look at the model. The cape takes more or less most of the model, but not that much when you look from the at the model from the front. And when you look at the model from the back, it's just mostly the cape. So but the main focus of the model of course should be the front. And I'm still doing the sword. It's supposed to be very nicely done with an NMM, and I'm trying to be as precise as I can. That's why I'm using a Raphael brush. It's a 00 Raphael brush, and I mean the size. And like previously, just putting edge highlights and giving layers of whiter and whiter paint, and finishing it off with a very diluted white paint at the end of every point that I want to make the most visible, the biggest highlight on. Yeah, still adding some paint, and I think it's more or less visible that I'm putting it on the previous layers and just painting it a bit smaller. Edge highlights on those swords, on the sword, were really hard because there's not much edge that you can put it on. It's not very sharp and not very there. Yeah, so this was more or less the sword. So now I moved to the face because he was looking like a drunken meme lord and it had to be redone. So I put Bagman's Glow once again on it, leaving just a few points darker. The same goes for the hands. And then I just started adding a little bit white to Bagman's Glow. It's always a good idea. A little flayed one flesh to the previous layer of Bagman's Glow with white, and just simple flayed one flesh, and at the end just giving it a little bit more white. Getting back to the hair, I gave it a small glaze of brown because it was looking too dark, just in the recesses. And then I also put in some scratches on the sword. It's supposed to look a little bit used. This is the gist of Felix. I had also some time, so I took a violet and diluted it very strongly and put the diluted paint into some places, for example on the cape in the shadows, just to make it a little bit different, to have a little fun with the model. I was trying to see what I can come up with, and then I put it into the darker places on the sword as well. And it turned out really nice. Oh yeah, now it's doing the eyes. I'm really bad with doing it, so don't judge me on what I have done here. But yeah, and getting back to the hair, a little bit more gold and then a little bit more white on the hair, because he wasn't looking blonde enough previously, and Felix is a blonde guy. Yeah, the sharpest one that I could get, and then making the eyes black and just putting white dots. I'm not gonna do more, so I even glazed a little bit of blue on it, and that's more or less it. So this is the model as it looks. At the end it took, I think, more or less 3 hours 50 minutes to get to this stage, and please don't judge me by the base, it was supposed to be a 5-minute job. But what do you guys think about the model? It was a very quick job, but I'm satisfied with the end result. He looks very nice. You can put him as a, let's say, lower class display model. What are your experiences with such models? What advice can you give me? What else can I do differently? Just write in a few comments and I'll be more than happy to answer them. And that's it for the model of Felix. The next video will be about Gotrek, and it will be more or less the same process all the way. He's gonna take also 4 hours plus. So let's see you next time.